Good afternoon, dear colleagues and listeners. Allow me to introduce myself, Doctor of Law, Professor,
Саид Гулямов.
Head of the Department Cyber Law of the Tashkent State Law University, and my colleague, Lecturer, Professor
Исламбек Рустамбеков.
Greetings, dear colleagues and young scientists. Allow me to introduce myself, Doctor of Law, Professor
Исламбек Рустамбеков.
Rector of the Tashkent State Law University.
First of all, I want to provide brief information about Uzbekistan, which is often called the Pearl of the East or the Heart of Central Asia, is known for its unique cultural heritage, and has always been considered the cradle of Islamic civilization. The country is home to many ancient architectural marvels, including the iconic blue tiles of the Registan in Samarkand and the stunning minarets of Bukhara. Despite the difficulties of recent decades, Uzbekistan remains a vibrant and fascinating country rich in history and culture that continues to attract visitors and investors from all over the world. So, welcome to our author's lecture, The State and Prospects of Cybersecurity Regulation and the Use of Artificial Intelligence in the Republic of Uzbekistan. Cybersecurity is a critical issue for countries around the world as the growing reliance on technology in both personal and professional life has led to an increased risk of cyber attacks. These attacks can take many forms, including hacking, malware, phishing, and more. They can have a wide range of consequences, from the theft of personal information to the disruption of critical infrastructure. To address these risks, it is important that countries develop and implement strong laws and regulations related to cybersecurity. This requires a strategic approach that takes into account the unique needs and challenges of a country, as well as the rapidly changing nature of cyber threats. One of the key elements of this approach is the development of laws and regulations that classify different forms of cybercrime. This may include hacking, identity theft, and other malicious activities that could harm individuals and organizations. These laws must be designed to be effective and enforceable, and must be updated regularly to prevent cyber threats. Another important aspect of a strategic approach to cybersecurity legislation is the development of internal regulations requiring organizations to implement robust cybersecurity measures. This may include measures such as encryption, firewalls, and regular security audits. By requiring organizations to take responsibility for protecting their own networks and data, governments can help reduce the overall risk of cyber attacks. In addition, governments should also develop incident response plans and encourage international cooperation and information sharing to prevent, detect, and respond to cyber incidents. Examples of countries that have highly effective cybersecurity legislation are the United States with its Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act and the European Union with the General Data Protection Regulation. In addition, targeted strategic approaches to the regulation of artificial intelligence, taking into account national capabilities and interests, which was devoted to the previous author's lecture. The concept of a national strategy for the development of artificial intelligence will allow developing countries to attract investment, talent, and business to their markets, as well as maintain competitiveness in the global economy. We have noted that a vectorial approach will allow policymakers to anticipate and prevent potential legal and ethical issues that may arise as AI advances further and protect the public from the potential negative impacts of the technology. So, understanding the importance of the topics discussed, we analyzed a number of international legal acts and ethical codes in the field of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, and based on them, we propose to make the necessary additions to the Constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan. Our proposals are based on an analysis of the best practices of developed countries, as well as on our own research and analysis in the field of these legal relationships. And today we are happy to share with our academic work. So, without further ado, let's dive into our lecture. There are many acts in the field of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence adopted by international and regional organizations, the implementation of which, taking into account national interests, has a positive impact on the development of a national outlook, domestic law, state strategy, policy, and practice. In this lecture, we will discuss the need to directly enshrine a number of norms of international legal documents in the Constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan in order to maintain a firm and unified position on the fundamental principles of ensuring cybersecurity and the use of artificial intelligence with the world community. Everyone understands that the paramount principle of human rights of our time is becoming the principle of providing a person with a cyber-safe environment, since the underdeveloped cyber infrastructure of many countries directly violates human rights to protect personal and other information in cyberspace. As a result, the imperfection of the digital ecosystem leads to the violation of other human rights, such as the right to a healthy psychological and economic life, and much more. The objective of this lecture is to draw attention to the current state, problems, and gaps in the regulation of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, and propose a number of new technological and legal principles and methods for its improvement. The purpose of the lecture is to propose a legal mechanism that can constitutionally guarantee the protection of rights and freedoms in a secure digital environment, not only by administrative judicial systems, but also by alternative instruments emerging in the legal system, materials and methods research. The word used official statistics, international regulations, scientific works of scientists in the field constitutional and cyber law. The methods used, such as structural, functional, abstraction, generalization, comparison, idealization, and induction, as well as a systematic approach, made it possible to establish the general properties of an object and its features, and conduct a study from a single case to a whole representation. Research results. The Constitution is an open system that can and must constantly evolve, which, in turn, does not exclude individual adjustments to the provisions of the Constitution due to objective factors in the development of society and the state. Therefore, the process of constitutional reform in the world has a common direction. The updated constitutions reflect the best achievements of international practice, and it should be recognized that the foundations of the constitutional system, enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan, have not yet fully absorbed the values of world constitutionalism in the field of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. Questions in the Constitution, security of the state and society briefly noted in the following articles. Article 17. The Republic may enter into alliances, join commonwealths and other interstate formations, as well as withdraw from them based on the highest interests of the state, the people, its welfare and security. Article 57. It is forbidden to create and operate political parties, as well as other public associations that oppose the sovereignty, integrity and security of the Republic. Article 93. The President of the Republic of Uzbekistan takes the necessary measures to protect sovereignty, security. Article 125 about armed forces and the security of population. Article 126. The Republic of Uzbekistan maintains the armed forces to ensure its security at the level of necessary sufficiency, and so on. The articles presented above, although they are related to the security of the country, at the same time, do not contain any clear ideas about the security of the digital space. Therefore, we believe that the time has come to adapt the Constitution to the modern requirements of the world and cyberspace, which require a well-thought-out cybersecurity system for the state and society, taking into account the impact of artificial intelligence on the digital space. The norms related to security presented in the Constitution are actually declarative or functional in nature, which can be confidently attributed to the old generation of constitutions, which proceed from the unconditional priority of minimalism to the informativeness of norms, the lack of clear principles, and the direction of state policy, and the development of society, on the need to transform generally recognized international principles and norms into the constitutional system of Uzbekistan. It also indicates that the basic law of Uzbekistan does not fully contain an objective opportunity for the law enforcer to ensure the guarantee of human rights and freedoms, which contains the danger of failure by the state, citizens and organizations to fulfill their obligations in the sphere of realization of human rights to a secure cyber environment. Provision 6. The preamble of the Constitution, the people of Uzbekistan, recognizing the priority of universally recognized norms of international law, are too vague to apply, and as science and practice have shown, this norm has not been recognized as effectively working. The result of such statements is a modern eclectic combination of truly universally recognized principles of international law and the principles that form the basis of the national legal order or legal consciousness in Uzbekistan. A statistical temporal review of the adopted normative act of Uzbekistan for 30 years, as well as scientific studies of national law, indicate that the legislation systematically requires regular changes or additions, since the initially adopted documents did not take into account international requirements. Unfortunately, this practice still has its place in the lawmaking system, as there may be a shortage of personnel and a weakness in innovative approaches. As a result, gaps in regulation lead to a vague system with inconsistent government policies that make it difficult for the public to understand the legality of their actions. All of this confuses both the public and the authorities regarding digital enforcement measures, resulting in a lack of control over the content of these relationships. Without going into criticism of rule-making, it can be unequivocally stated that multilateral conventions and standards, as a rule, are developed and adopted within the framework of international organizations. In this regard, in our opinion, the constitutional development of this sphere in Uzbekistan should take into account the following factors. International documents are the legal foundation, the result of a complex harmonization of their norms between countries, taking into account common and national interests. As practice has shown, adherence to international standards and requirements is a rational condition for the effective functioning of states in order to ensure global and regional law and order. Based on this, a possible solution to unravel the tangle of contradictions and topological problems in the legislation will be the implementation of international principles and mechanisms through a direct addition to the Constitution, the purpose and objectives of which are to modify and unify the existing principles and norms of cyber law in the Republic. Effective foreign experience has shown that the principles and mechanisms laid down will give a vector incentive in the development of state policy and legislation, the development of education, the improvement of modern society, and much more. The proposed doctrine of additions to the Constitution will allow defining new fundamental principles and legal structures in Uzbekistan that will model the foundations and vectors of the targeted development of the public administration system and public relations in the field of cyber law, complicated by digital and technological elements. Innovations will make it possible to establish new values for the state and society, the boundaries of acceptable behavior, provide protection against illegal actions, and guarantee a wider choice of rights, freedoms, and obligations to the state and the individual. The Constitution should lay down fundamental principles, such as legislation for the future, not just filling in the gaps, balance of individual rights and public interests, balance between national security and private life, a targeted course towards the digital economy, and ensuring a high level of cybersecurity, innovative education, and principles of using artificial intelligence, and others, many of which have not found their full reflection in the legislation of Uzbekistan, although they have long been in demand by society and the state. Discussion of the result of the study. So, the basis for the development of our proposals were the following generally recognized norms and guiding documents of international organizations. Cybersecurity. United Nations International Code of Conduct. The main cybersecurity normative document applied worldwide is the United Nations International Code of Conduct on Information Security, which is a set of guidelines and principles to encourage the responsible use of information and communication technologies and ensure the security of information systems. The Code of Conduct encourages states to take a comprehensive approach to information security, including technical, legal, and organizational measures. It is a voluntary instrument, and its purpose is to help countries develop and implement effective policies and practices to ensure the security of information systems and the protection of human rights. United Nations Resolution on the Promotion, Protection, and Observance of Human Rights. United Nations Resolution on the Promotion, Protection, and Observance of Human Rights, reaffirming the importance of human rights in the digital age. It calls on states to protect people's rights to freedom of expression, privacy, and the protection of personal data, and to keep the internet open and accessible as an inalienable human right. ISO IEC 27001-2013 standard. It is an internationally recognized information security management standard. It describes a set of best practices and controls for managing and protecting sensitive information. The standard is divided into several sections, including a governance framework that describes information security management policies and procedures, as well as a set of controls that organizations can use to protect their information assets. Overall, standard provides a comprehensive framework for managing and protecting information assets and is widely recognized as the best practice for information security management. It is important to note that the standard is voluntary, not mandatory, but is chosen by many governments and organizations because of its wide acceptance and usefulness for protecting sensitive information. Importantly, many organizations outside of these countries are also adopting this standard to demonstrate their commitment to information security and regulatory compliance. General Data Protection Regulation. The GDPR strengthens the EU Data Protection Act and gives EU citizens more control over their personal data. This applies to all companies that process personal data of EU citizens, regardless of where the company is located. The GDPR sets out specific obligations for companies that process personal data, including the need to appoint a data protection officer, the need to conduct a data protection impact assessment, and the need to notify the appropriate supervisory authority of a data breach. This gives people the right to access, correct, delete, and export their personal data, as well as to object or restrict the processing of their data. NIST Cybersecurity Framework (CSF) is a framework developed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology for Information Security in organizations. It defines a set of standards, methods, and procedures for information security risk management. The framework describes 5 components: risk identification, policy and standards development, asset and threat identification, risk assessment and management, monitoring and support. Artificial intelligence. In addition to the above and other sources of cybersecurity regulation, the field of artificial intelligence regulation is also developing. The following legal acts are leading in world practice: Global Initiative on Ethics of Autonomous and Intelligent Systems. The initiative is focused on developing guidelines to address ethics and responsibility issues in artificial intelligence, robotics, autonomous vehicles, and other autonomous systems. It is intended to be a global effort bringing together experts from various fields to provide advice on the ethical implications of these technologies and promote the development of responsible and trustworthy systems. OECD AI Principles. The OECD AI Principles are a set of guidelines developed by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development to promote the responsible development and use of artificial intelligence. These principles are based on values such as people-centeredness, transparency, and the rule of law. These principles are intended to provide guidance for governments, businesses, and other organizations to promote the responsible development and use of artificial intelligence and to ensure that these systems respect human rights and values. G20 Global Partnership for Artificial Intelligence. It is an initiative to promote the responsible development and use of artificial intelligence. The partnership aims to encourage international cooperation in this area and focuses on several key areas of artificial intelligence: promoting responsible and trustworthy, building an inclusive and responsible ecosystem, support for research and development, promotion of international cooperation. UNESCO Recommendation on the Ethics of Artificial Intelligence. It is a document that provides guidance on ethical principles and practices related to the development and use of artificial intelligence. The recommendation emphasizes the importance of human rights and calls for transparency, accountability, and responsible management of these systems. It also encourages public dialogue and participation in the decision-making process. The recommendation aims to promote the responsible and ethical use of artificial intelligence and ensure that artificial intelligence is consistent with the values and goals of humanity. The norms, principles, and standards of the above and other documents are directly reflected in the policies and legislation of developed countries. Many countries have adopted them as requirements for organizations operating within their borders. Examples are countries that have implemented the principles and standards, such as USA, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Japan, South Africa, Brazil, India, and others. Comparative statistical analysis of economic and other indicators of these and other countries over the past 5 years demonstrates its effectiveness in socio-economic development. Hence, it is predictable that, with the introduction of international principles and standards directly into the legislation and state policy of Uzbekistan, then, in the coming years, the following results can be expected: ensuring the protection of human rights, including the right to freedom of expression and privacy; ensuring the protection of the public interest, including the protection of critical infrastructure and the prevention of cybercrime; security awareness and understanding of the importance of information security among government agencies, organizations, and individuals; consciously protect personal and confidential information, reducing the risk of data leakage and cyber attacks; build trust in organizations' ability to protect sensitive information, which can lead to greater confidence in digital transactions and services; compliance with international regulations and standards such as the General Data Protection Regulation and the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. The vector attention to information security in public policy entails the development of new laws and alternative ways to protect sensitive data. The generally accepted norms of international law are of great benefit, since they provide us, based on the principles of equality and the common interest of the community, the opportunity to add them to the Constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan, without the need to prove or correct them. International documents are created and discussed at the state level. They are executed by professional compilers and developers, which makes them reliable sources of information for our Constitution. As you can see, international law has become an integral part of the whole cluster of government measures taken to maintain digital stability, develop cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence on a national scale. In addition, new and more effective tools for promoting law and order in cyberspace are emerging. This includes voluntary adoption of ethical standards, recognition of the principles of responsibility to protect the cybersphere, ensuring the possibility of access to the judiciary to fight for the rights of the digital environment, as well as the adoption of rules and procedures aimed at creating and maintaining a balance between the national interests of countries and the appropriateness of systems development, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. So, dear listener, the main law in the field of cybersecurity in the Republic of Uzbekistan is the Law of the Republic of Uzbekistan on Cybersecurity dated April 15, 2022. The law consists of 8 chapters and 40 articles. The law uses concepts such as cybercrime, cyberspace, cyber threat, cybersecurity, cyber defense, cyber attack. It also defines the basic principles for ensuring cybersecurity, which include legality, the priority of protecting the interests of the individual, society, and the state in cyberspace, a unified approach to regulating the sphere of cybersecurity, the priority of the participation of domestic manufacturers in the creation of a cybersecurity system, openness of the Republic of Uzbekistan to international cooperation in ensuring cybersecurity. A unified state policy in the field of cybersecurity is determined by the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan. In turn, the authorized state body in the field of cybersecurity is the State Security Service of the Republic of Uzbekistan, taking measures by cybersecurity actors in relation to cybersecurity incidents can be carried out in the following forms: prevention of vulnerabilities and errors in software and devices, destruction of malicious programs, limitation of their distribution, technical limitation of the source of cyber attacks, isolation of informatization objects from real cyber threats, providing information to law enforcement about cybersecurity incidents. Other laws indirectly related to cybersecurity are Law of the Republic of Uzbekistan on the legal protection of programs for electronic computers and databases dated 06/05/1994. This law regulates relations connected with the creation, legal protection, and use of computer programs and databases. Law of the Republic of Uzbekistan on Informatization dated 11/12/2003. The purpose of this law is to regulate relations in the field of informatization, the use of information resources and information systems, in particular with regard to cybersecurity. This law, for example, states that the owner of a website and a page of a website or other information resource, including a blog, is obliged to prevent the use of his website and pages of a website or other information resource on the global information network Internet, on which public information is posted, in order to disseminate deliberately false information containing a threat to public order or security, and so on. Law of the Republic of Uzbekistan on the Protection of Information in the Automated Banking System dated April 4, 2006. The purpose of the law is to regulate relations in the field of information protection in the automated banking system. In addition to the laws of the Republic of Uzbekistan, there are also decrees and resolutions of the President, as well as state standards in the field of information technology related to cybersecurity, often defined as information security. So let's take a look at them. Presidential decrees related to cybersecurity. Decree of the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan dated February 19, 2018 No. 5349 on measures to further improve the field of information technology and communications. It says implementation is needed comprehensive measures to introduce modern information security technologies in the telecommunications and postal services, television and radio broadcasting, etc. Decree of the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan, dated 05/10/2020 No. 6079 on approval of the strategy Digital Uzbekistan 2030 and measures for its effective implementation. The decree is aimed at the implementation of comprehensive measures for the active development of the digital economy, as well as the widespread introduction of modern information and communication technologies in all industries and areas, primarily in public administration, education, healthcare, and agriculture. Regarding cybersecurity, this decree states that it is necessary to ensure the information security of the departmental digital infrastructure, as well as the protection of electronic data and documents, and more. Presidential decrees related to cybersecurity. Decree of the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan, dated 14/09/2019 No. 4452 on additional measures to improve the system of control over the introduction of information technologies and communications, and the organization of their protection. It says that the authorized body in the field of cybersecurity regulation is the State Security Service of the Republic of Uzbekistan, and more. Decree of the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan dated November 21, 2018 No. 4024 on measures to improve the system of control over the introduction of information technologies and communications, the organization of their protection. It says that the imperfection of the control system in the field of telecommunication, information and cybersecurity. Critical information infrastructure leads to the vulnerability of objects of state information systems, the digital economy, and personal data. Also, it is said that the lack of systematic work on the study and implementation of advanced foreign experience in the field of information and cybersecurity does not allow the introduction of modern methods of protecting the national information space, and much more. State standards. State standard of the Republic of Uzbekistan methods for ensuring security. Information security management practices. State standard of the Republic of Uzbekistan method of ensuring security. Information security incident management. Part 1 Incident Management Principles. State Standard of the Republic of Uzbekistan Information Security Incident Management. Part 2 Guidelines for Planning and Preparing for Incident Response. These standards are intended to be used as guidance for organizations in selecting controls when developing and implementing an information security management system, or as a guidance document for organizations implementing generally accepted information security controls. Also, some of them contain rules of thumb and recommendations for information security management. As you can see, many of the laws, decrees, regulations, and standards directly or indirectly related to the field of cybersecurity, and having instructions regarding information security in their structures, are outdated and have not received the latest improvements, additions, and updates. We believe that, due to the increased actualization and constant variability of the modern world, as well as due to globalization, industrialization, and the enormous development of information and digital technologies, the laws should receive much more updates and additions. One of the reasons for the stagnation and irrelevance of many parts of these laws is that they are all based on constitutional articles that are not directly related to cybersecurity and information protection of data. Also, many parts of the above documents contain incomplete and shallow information about the field of cybersecurity, which has many subtleties, features, and nuances, which together is of decisive strategic importance for ensuring security in the digital space. Therefore, it is necessary to start by complementing the constitutional article on security by creating and then correlating digital features and cybersecurity solutions. So, we propose an article-by-article draft of a new chapter of the Constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Principles of Cybersecurity and the Use of Artificial Intelligence. We propose to begin the chapter with Article 1, the Internet as a platform for innovation and progress, which is of paramount importance for the protection of human rights and the fulfillment of public obligations. First, it recognizes the global and open nature of the Internet as a driver of progress and development, including the achievement of sustainable development goals. This recognition is critical to ensuring that the government develops policies that support the growth and development of the Internet as a tool for innovation and progress. Second, the article establishes the responsibility of the state for creating conditions for trust and confidence on the Internet, including the protection of freedom of speech and privacy rights. This is to ensure that people can take full advantage of the potential of the Internet without fear of censorship or surveillance. Finally, the article highlights the need for collaboration between government, civil society, and the private sector to realize the full potential of the Internet as a driver of development and innovation. This collaboration is essential to building a secure and reliable Internet that benefits all members of society. In general, Article 1 of the Constitution is necessary to protect human rights and ensure the fulfillment of public obligations in the digital age. It recognizes the importance of the Internet as a tool for progress and development and sets the framework for ensuring that it is a safe and secure platform for all. Article 2 of the Constitution ensuring and expanding access to information and communication technologies emphasizes the importance and necessity of ensuring that all people have access to modern technologies and the ability to use them. It is argued that the duty and responsibility to protect the rights of individuals, promote digital literacy, and bridge the digital divide between regions lies with the government. The first argument presented in this article is that the government should take a comprehensive approach to protecting the rights of individuals and promoting the use of technology. This includes working with all sectors of society, including businesses and civil society organizations, to develop policies and guidelines for the use of technology. The second argument is that the state should support the development of continuous education in the field of digital literacy and the elimination of the digital divide between regions. It is necessary to ensure that all people, regardless of their location, have access to the same opportunities and resources to learn and use technology. The third argument is that the state should support the empowerment of the population through increased access to technology. This includes ensuring that all people have access to the Internet and other communications technologies, as well as teaching and learning how to use these technologies. In general, this article imposes obligations on the state to provide the population with access to modern technologies and their use. Article 3 of the Constitution, prevention and countering disinformation and propaganda in the online space, is critical to protecting human rights and ensuring the development of new principles. The article emphasizes the importance of the state taking the necessary measures to prevent the spread of disinformation and propaganda on the Internet, which can be used to mislead, violate human rights, incite violence, hatred, discrimination, or enmity. The article argues that the state will create a safe and supportive online environment for all without discrimination and taking into account the interests of those who face systemic inequality. This ensures that everyone has equal access to information and the opportunity to participate in online activities without fear of being targeted or marginalized. The article emphasizes the obligation of the state to take all measures to ensure that all citizens are protected from disinformation and propaganda. This includes the development and implementation of laws and regulations aimed at preventing the spread of false information and holding those who spread it accountable. Finally, the article promotes the possibility of a vectorial development of promoting education and awareness of disinformation and propaganda, as well as encouraging the development of new technologies and tools to counter them. In Article 4 of the Constitution, data protection affirms the importance of protecting personal and other information from unauthorized access and misuse. The authors of this article recognize the vital role of the state and society in ensuring the protection of human rights and freedoms when handling personal data. The article highlights the need to take preventive measures to protect personal data from misuse. This includes the need for government and society to take targeted policy measures to prevent data leakage and other forms of unauthorized access to personal information. Also, the article focuses on the equivalence of ensuring the level of protection of the rights and freedoms of citizens when handling personal data throughout the state. This means that the government must take steps to ensure that there are no inconsistencies or differences in personal data protection between different regions or communities. Further, the consistent development of unified legislation relating to the protection of personal data is consolidated throughout the state. In general, this article is of decisive importance for ensuring the protection of human rights and freedoms in the handling of personal data, as well as the adoption by the state and society of the necessary measures to prevent the misuse of personal data. As authors, we believe that Article 5 of the Constitution, Principles of Cybersecurity, is of paramount importance for preventing threats and risks of the modern technological order. The emphasis of the article is on the recognition by the state and society of the fundamental international normative and ethical principles for ensuring a secure digital environment. This article should become an incentive for self-education and self-development in society. Principles such as honesty and professionalism, as well as compliance with existing laws and ethical standards, which is essential for promoting the rule of law and establishing new principles in the field of cybersecurity. The article emphasizes the importance of confidentiality, cybersecurity, authenticity, and the need for authorization and information about software products to ensure the safety and security of individuals and organizations in cyberspace. Overall, incorporating these principles into the Constitution will lead to a more secure, transparent, trustworthy, and accountable cyber environment. Article 6 of the Constitution, Principles of Artificial Intelligence, recognizes artificial intelligence as a self-developing subject of law with limited rights and sets out the principles that the Republic of Uzbekistan must adhere to when using it. The principle of self-development of artificial intelligence within the framework of the regulatory framework of the Republic of Uzbekistan and internationally recognized norms is crucial to ensure that its development complies with legal and ethical standards. The principle of respect for fundamental rights will ensure that its use does not violate people's fundamental rights. This includes the right to privacy, freedom of expression, and the right to equal treatment. In addition, the principles of quality, security, transparency, impartiality, and reliability are important to ensure proper cybersecurity of systems, minimizing the risk of its errors or negative consequences. Further, Article 6 of the Constitution, Principles of Artificial Intelligence, enshrines the principle of reliability and transparency of the system, which ensures that people are aware of the capabilities and limitations of artificial intelligence systems with which they interact. This is important because people must make informed decisions about their interactions with it and hold the government accountable for any problems that may arise from its use. Finally, the principle of ethics and privacy in the online environment ensures that AI systems do not invade people's privacy. This is important because it ensures that people can be sure that their personal information is not collected or used without their consent. In addition, the principle of accessibility of open source software and information ensures that stakeholders can access information about the interfaces and drivers of AI systems, which is necessary for transparency and accountability. Overall, Article 6 of the Constitution is critical to ensure the ethical and responsible development and use of artificial intelligence. Conclusion: the proposed principles and norms in the field of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence cannot be considered complete. They are the foundation on which the next, more specific and formally defined, in terms of the rights and obligations of participants in cyberspace, layer of the international legal order is formed. In the latter case, we must not forget that international law has grown and developed as a result of relations between states that interact on the basis of legal equality and according to their own will. This process does not end at this stage, as there is a need for continuous and sustainable promotion and application of these international legal principles on a national scale in order to achieve more effective cooperation in the field of cyber law and order. In addition, the modern openness of cyberspace and free access to the required information made it possible to analyze the experience of mistakes and achievements of other countries, which in turn makes it possible to determine their own unique vector of development of national law and its principles. The synergy of international norms and experience will bring the digital policy of Uzbekistan in line with the requirements of the modern world and the principles of justice. The introduction of targeted digital education programs will allow the country to achieve its goal by 2030, the development of the population's self-awareness in relation to their own cybersecurity and responsibility. This is especially important for the strategic development of the Republic of Uzbekistan, because a conscious and responsible attitude of the population to digital resources will increase the duration and quality of life, and legal norms and decisions will allow maintaining the regime of cybersecurity and stability. Concluding the lecture, we believe that since this area is largely focused on the strategy of the state and the education of society, and its direct implementation depends on the actions of the state and society, then, accordingly, at least the fundamental principles and strategic directions for the development of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence should directly embodied in constitutional laws. Thank you for your attention.